Do that, take care of it, thank you very much. This is tattling. This is tattling. This is not your business. It's, no one's getting hurt. Nothing is getting destroyed. There's no property damage. Is the kid doing the wrong thing by playing a video game over there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they really are. You shouldn't be playing video games here at school. But they're not hurting anyone. No property being destroyed. Nothing is getting damaged. Sometimes kids will say, oh, but they're hurting their educational opportunities. Please. Nobody's getting hurt, nothing destroyed. If you go over and tell for something like that, you are a tattletale bee. Let me give you a different situation. You're in class, teacher says to you, okay class, open up your books, I want you to read from page 5 to 10 in your books. You're reading in your book, and next to you is this weird kid. You're not scared of the kid, you just don't like this kid very much. They give off a bad vibe, they're kind of a weird, squirrely kind of character, just don't really like that vibe. And this kid is pretending to be reading, but what they're really doing is kicking the chair of the new kid in front of them, and they're like, yeah, you just wait until we're on the bus. I'm kicking your butt when we're on the bus. Yeah, you better run. I'm throwing your books out of the window. You're so dead. Bigger deal. You raise your hand or wait to be called on before speaking out. You go over to the teacher. Look, you don't have to tell the teacher everything. You got to give them enough information so they know what's going on. You might say something like, you might want to check out what's going on in the back of the room. Then you immediately say, may I go to the bathroom? Teachers say yes. Teacher lets you go to the bathroom. Teacher doesn't do anything. You left, you went to the bathroom, you're gone 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, a minute. Finally, the teacher eventually, minute and a half later, they get up, and you know how good teachers do that? They kind of walk around the room, they kind of check out what's going on. The teacher will find out about the bullying by themselves. You're in the bathroom, no one knows you told, you did the right thing, but you also stayed safe. If the teacher gets back here and the bullying has stopped, that's good too. That's the difference between tattling and telling, ratting and reporting. In a moment, remember how you worked with the people next to you, in front of you, on the side of you, behind you? In a moment, I'm going to ask you to work with them again. Let's stand up quickly. Let's do a quick 20-second stretch. All right. In a moment. I have to tell you, and teachers, I want to let you know this also. I'm very impressed with the 8th grade's behavior. You have been very quick to respond when I've talked with you. You're looking at me in the eye. You're following directions first time given. I'm really very impressed, so thank you all. Thank you. That's great. In a moment, I'm going to ask that you work with those people next to you, in front of you, on the side of you, behind you, and you're going to talk about different ways you're going to stop the bullying. I'm going to put a bullying situation up. Different people are going to have different answers. There's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. It's more about how would you stop the bullying. And you've got to explain to the people why you picked that answer. You have to explain to them why you picked that answer. Be prepared to defend your answer. It's not about trying to convince anybody, it's about explaining your answer. And so, here's the first one. I will give you the signal word. The signal word will be go. Wait for that word, and that's when I will give you the signal. Okay? Here's the situation. A group of younger kids are calling a little kid names. You don't like it. Would you not join in, remove yourself? Would you tell the bullies to stop? Would you separate the bullies away from the person being bullied? Would you separate the person being bullied away from the bullies? Or would you report to a trusted adult? Go. You may do that now. Different people had different answers. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's more about explaining your answer. Some people said, well, wait a second. These are like little kids, right? They're younger than me. I've got no problem going over to some little kid and telling them to knock it off. That makes sense to me. That really does. Some people said, well, wait a second. I'm actually getting older now, and sometimes people even mistake me for like being a high school student. Has that ever happened to anybody? Really? Yeah. So I don't like to walk. Some people said, I don't like to walk over to strange little kids and tell them what to do. Maybe I would report to a trusted adult, see if there's an adult nearby. Some people said, well, maybe I would separate the bullies away, or maybe I'd separate the bullied person away. That makes sense, but be careful. If you go to separate people, use your words for separating people. If you start grabbing onto people like, you little kid, come over here, you go over there, bullies, who's going to get in trouble now? That's right. So when you separate people, use your words. I was very impressed. This was very impressive. I went around and I was talking to people, and people would have like a plan A. I'm hearing some voices. I should be the only voice talking. I was very impressed. There were a lot of people who had like a plan A and then a backup plan B, or like a second part to the plan. Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever had a plan? You love this plan. This is a great plan. This is a fantastic plan. You are sure this plan is going to work. You love this plan. This is a great plan. And then it doesn't work. You ever have that? I hate that. That's why you need a backup plan. Some people had like a plan A and a backup plan B. Or they had, I'll try this first, and this is what I would do second. So they had orders in which they would do things. I'm going to put another situation up on the screen. I'm going to ask again that you talk with the people next to you, in front of you, on the side of you, behind you. This time, and again, you're explaining the reason for your answers. That's really important. All right, here's another situation. Brianna is a new student in your school. Sorry if there's a Brianna, sorry. Your friends keep on texting about Brianna in a mean way. You don't like it. Would you not join in and remove yourself? Would you tell the bullies to stop? Would you separate the bullies away? Would you separate the person being bullied away? Or report to a trusted adult? Discuss that now, please. I'm so easily entertained. So, this was an interesting one. So again, different people had different answers. I was very impressed on how people were defending their answers and explaining why this was their choice. Now, some people said, wait a second, these are my friends who are doing this? I've got no problem going over to my friends and saying, knock it off. You don't know about Brianna. You shouldn't talk about Brianna. You're just making stuff up. And so some people said they'd tell their friends to knock it off. Some people said, you know, they're my friends, but I'm kind of scared of my friends. So some people said maybe I would be friends with Brianna, or maybe I would distract them. Some people said if I got a text message, what I might do is just ignore it. Oh, I didn't get your message. Oh, I didn't see it. Oh, my phone was shut off. Oh, you know, my parents took my phone away from last night. I never saw the message. This next one, we're not actually going to do. Teachers, this is a good one to do back in the classroom to kind of keep the learning going. So we're not actually going to do this one. This one is, you know, an overweight student who stutters when excited. So the bigger person who has trouble getting their words out. Some students in your class are starting to call the student Porky Pig. Would you not join in and remove yourself? Would you tell the bullies to stop? Would you separate the bullies away from the person being bullied? Would you separate the person being bullied away from the bullies? Or would you report to a trusted adult? All right. I need everyone's attention back to me. So sometimes, I go around to a lot of different schools. I go to a lot of different middle schools all across the country. And sometimes I'll hear kids talking, just waiting for the last few people. If you see somebody who's nearby you who's talking, just very gently and very quietly, just kind of give them an indication that this is time to quiet down. So I go around to all of these different schools all across the country, and sometimes I'll hear kids say something like, well, I was just fooling around, I was just kidding, I didn't mean anything by it, you know, you're too sensitive. That's the way we roll here at this school, you know, you don't get it because you're old. You know what? There's a point there. There's some truth to that. There is some truth to this. Kids play differently than adults. Friends play differently than people who aren't friends. I call it playful teasing. Playful teasing is okay. Hurtful taunting is not. Sometimes we start off with playful teasing and somehow it becomes hurtful taunting, but hurtful taunting is not okay. When you were a little kid, do you remember like when you were in 3rd or 4th grade, you read, you know, the Berenstain Bears and too much teasing or something like that? Same idea. Playful teasing is okay, hurtful taunting is not. And the way I describe it is when it's playful teasing, you can tell when it's playful teasing. When it's playful teasing, I can make fun of you, You can make fun of me. I make fun of your big Dumbo ears. You make fun of my large banana nose. You get the idea? It goes both ways. Okay, I'm not making fun of anything too important. I'm not making fun of your mother's alcoholism. I'm not talking about your father's mental issues or something like that. You know, nothing too important. When it's playful teasing, it's meant to be funny. It's meant to get a laugh. It's meant to be lighthearted. It's supposed to make everyone laugh. And and sometimes, in 8th grade, some of us are getting into the boyfriend-girlfriend issues. Some of us have boyfriend-girlfriend, situations coming up. And let's say I say to you, hey, listen, do me a favor. When we're with the girls, there's this girl I like. Her name is Karen. Do me a favor. When we're around Karen, do me a favor. Don't make fun of my big banana nose, okay? I like Karen. And do me a favor. Don't make fun of my big banana nose.
It's cute.
When it's playful teasing, you don't make fun of my big banana nose. You actually respect what I said. When it's hurtful taunting, you know exactly what you're saying. And you are using words to hurt. You're like using words like they're a knife. You're sticking them in and they're like twisting it around. That's a disgusting image, isn't it? When it's hurtful taunting, you know exactly what you're saying. You might make it out like, it's a joke, but it's really not a joke. It's really cruel or humiliating, or you're making fun of someone's skin color, you're making fun of someone's religion, where they come from, their family, things that we really care about. And when it, go back. And when it is hurtful taunting, there's an imbalance of power. I make fun of you, and you shut up and you take it. Can you feel that imbalance of power? And if I say to you, hey, do me a favor, there's a girl I like, there's this girl Karen, I like Karen, do me a favor, don't make fun of my big banana nose when Karen is around. When it's hurtful taunting, what do you make fun of when Karen is around? My big banana nose, exactly. In a moment, I'm going to put onto the screen a situation. I want you to think about, is this situation playful teasing, which is okay, or is it hurtful taunting? I'm going to read it out loud. Think about why it's playful teasing or why is it hurtful taunting. Here's the situation. Read along with me. Playful teasing or hurtful taunting. As a new student, Bart was still trying to fit in and make friends. At lunch, someone slid a whoopee cushion on Bart's seat. It made a farting sound when he sat down. The other kids started calling Bart the fart. Bart asked people to stop calling him Bart the fart. Now they call him Fathead Farty. Bart is miserable. Raise your hand and wait to be called on before. Well, actually, let me ask the whole group. Let me ask you all together. Is this playful teasing or hurtful taunting in your opinion? Call it out. Almost everybody. I did hear a couple of people. I need everyone's attention. When I look up, I should see your eyeballs. Teachers, if you see students that are talking that shouldn't, you can just take care of it, go right over and take care of it. I heard most people say that this was probably hurtful taunting. I'm going to ask you now to raise your hand and wait to be called on before speaking out. What are the indicators that are letting you know that this is probably hurtful taunting? Raise your hand and wait to be called out before speaking out. Yes. Yes. He asked them to stop, and they didn't stop. Well, they kind of stopped. He asked them to stop calling him Bart the Fart. They did stop calling him Bart the Fart, right? But now they're calling him Fathead Farty, which is a lot worse. All right? So they didn't listen. Good. What else is letting you know that this is probably hurtful taunting? This is not okay. You'd be amazed how many people missed it. Bart is miserable. Duh. Probably hurtful taunting. Look at this. Look at this. Bart is a new student at the school. They're old students. They're already established. He's still trying to make friends. There's a bunch of them. There's only one of him. Remember when we talked earlier that bullying is that abuse of the difference in power? If there's a bunch of them and only one of him, difference in power. All right. How about this one? I'm going to read this out. Again, I want you to think playful teasing or hurtful taunting. Playful teasing or hurtful taunting. Debbie is 6 inches taller than the next tallest student in her grade. Two girls sitting with a bunch of other students say, "Hey, Shorty, how's the weather up there?"
You mean down there?
Debbie rolls her eyes and half smiled at the lame use of humor. Then one of the girls said, "Debbie, come over and tell us about that basketball camp you went to." Debbie sat down at the table and said, "Okay, little people, let me tell you about meeting Shaquille O'Neal." Call it out, playful teasing or hurtful taunting. I heard almost everybody say that this was probably playful teasing, and I agree with you. Raise your hand and wait to be called on before speaking out. What are the indicators that are letting you know that this is probably playful teasing, which is okay? Go ahead. So it goes back and forth. They call her Shorty. She called them little people. It went back and forth. It wasn't just one direction. Good. Raise your hand and wait to be called on before speaking out. What else is letting you know that this is probably playful teasing, which is okay? Yeah, so she half smiled at the lame use of humor. This is kind of what I picture. I kind of imagine her kind of, one of these, "Oh, that's the best you got." So she's kind of smiling. So she is smiling. My experience has been that, like one of those. Be careful though. Sometimes people will smile even though they're being bullied. They're like, "Hey, I don't know what to do, so I'm smiling," And they're really not enjoying it. They just don't know what to do. But in this case, I don't get that feeling. Okay, I'm not getting that feeling. Okay, anything else here? Last thing, look at this. Okay, the conversation moved on. The conversation moved on. They didn't just sit there and make fun of each other. They called her Shorty, she called them little people, and then finally the conversation moved on. They start talking about basketball camp and Shaquille O'Neal. All right, we're starting to come down to our last few minutes now. We've learned that there are ways that you could stop the bullying. You guys are in the peak bullying years. You're going to see the most bullying. You are the ones who have the power. You can stop bullying. You can stop the bullying by not joining in and removing yourself. You can stop the bullying by telling